One thing I wanted to chat with you about as well is kind of your aversion to the black and white when it comes to genre, right, and style. You have so
Man,
many influences, but you don't kind of sit in any place. And
right.
you've been very vocal about, not being black and white with your art. Why is that?
Man, first of all, I'm self-taught
Right,
as far as being a musician, right?
right.
So, I don't quite do country right. I don't quite do the blues right. I don't quite do, rock right. I don't quite do jazz right, but I do stuff that when I figure out a melody or whatever and chord it out, it works for me. So it sounds a little bit like everything. It sounds all that stew just stirred up. You know what I mean? So and then to be honest, man, there for a while I kept getting lumped in with like the Texas country stuff,
Yeah.
and man, honestly, like I didn't want to be affiliated with a bunch of those assholes. I didn't have any. I had songs about going to the river, but they're way different than their songs about going to the river. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and I'm like, no, I'm not quite a folky. I don't give a shit about Curville. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
so I'm not a folky, but I'm not a Texas country guy. So then it became like not like a fear of being pigeonholed so much as I just didn't agree with any of them. You know, and then it's not important to me except for marketing, right?
Yeah.
Like, how do you describe your stuff? Uh, so we know what to tell people to expect. Well, fuck them. Pay the $10 and come see. Um, Me and James Steinley, we came up with one. We were calling it County Country. You know, so it wasn't like George Strait Country. It was just sort of like out in the county country.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we had a fun time making up genre names that we did think were acceptable. Brush pop, county country, uh,
Fresh
ag
pop.
trad.
I love
Yeah,
it.
ag trad. It was all like tragedies involving agricultural, mechanics and
Yeah.
stuff. He had one T post metal. There was going to be like you know
That's
heavy metal
awesome.
songs about working on the farm. But all that to kind of poke fun at it. And I think there was such a mantle to that stuff. Like, you know, when what was it, the Gavin chart, right? Folded 2000 or whenever that was out of Nashville. There was this void, there was this vacuum, dude. And so all of a sudden there were 19 different uh, Texas country, ratings, rankings,
Yeah.
whatever the shit you call those things, right? And so depending on which one you looked at, the number one song in Texas country would be seven different assholes that you've never heard of.
Right.
And I'm like, well, let me hear this song. Then you're like, oh my God, I wish I'd never heard that song.
Yep.
Um, so I knew I didn't want any part of that universe, right?
It's funny, man.
A,
You're talking about
I
stuff
didn't want to
that.
be a part of it.
Go ahead.
Say it again.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I've thought about doing like a Boston's tidbits thing with like little tidbits and advice, and one of the ones I wanted to do is, it's kind of funny what you're talking about. Is like, look, if you're an artist or a songwriter, and you find yourself on a chart,
Right.
and you don't recognize the name of anybody else on the chart, chances are it's not a credible chart.
Don't brag about it too much. Yeah.
Right. Or in the same thing, in the same vein, if you're nominated for an award and you don't
100%.
recognize any of the other people you're nominated with, look a little deeper into the awards you're nominated for.
Well, I think we might be about the same age. So to me, it's always like, do you remember the deal where it's like, you want a free TV? You just
Yeah.
got to come step through a short sales presentation,
Yep.
right? Timeshare bullshit, right?
Timeshare. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was the whole deal with like the quote Texas country quote thing.
Yep.
I didn't want to necessarily be a part of all that. And then two, I couldn't afford it
Yeah.
because all that stuff was a
Payola.
buy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Payola.
yeah. I'm like, man, I'm working concrete and putting in lawn irrigation and bootlegging fish and shit, like,
Yep.
and playing for free. You know what I mean? So like,
Just trying to
I don't,
survive, man. Right.
yeah, I don't
Yeah.
have $5,000 to pay a radio promoter to go bounce my song off of some repeaters somewhere in